Ow!
Greetings, YouTube. This is Dak Crash, better known as Brandon, and welcome to a new Quantum Leap review. First of all, my deepest apologies for coming in so late with this. I actually watched the episode the day after because on Peacock it airs on Tuesday, whereas if you're just watching on NBC, the new episodes air on Mondays. However, I've only been able to get around to doing this. I've been very busy for the last few days, and so I could only get this done. So, once again, like to extend my apologies for anyone who was waiting for what I had to say on this. Fortunately, there are a lot of other really great reviewers out there. One particular one that I meant to give a shout out to the last go round. He's called AJ's Movie Place, and he does really great reviews of the different Quantum Leap episodes, and I've been following him very, very well. I plan to do like a collab with him very soon. I just need to get things into place and, be able to nail down a pretty good time. And so hopefully, I'll be able to do that, and I'll get that information out to you as soon as we can, nail that all together. Anyway, also everybody, just remember, comment, rate, subscribe if you like this. Really helps. It really helps me to keep, doing this. Because it's encouraging seeing people come and watching my reviews. Even though I'm not getting a whole bunch of people now, but I'm hoping that the show does grow in popularity and the shows grow in quality, and we'll start seeing more and more people, watching the series. It's really, I still believe it is a really good continuation of the series. Needs some work in some areas, but I think that that's something that can be fixed. So, without further ado, let's get into this new episode, and I need to start telling people, yes, we are going to be doing some spoilers, so I highly recommend that if you haven't watched the episode right now, I recommend you go check it out, unless you just don't care about spoilers, because I will be spoiling a lot of things about the show. So, this episode, episode 8, is the season, the half season finale, the halfway point, where they're going to be shutting everything down before the holiday season. It'll probably be coming back around January, February, so, won't be getting any more reviews until then. Although, maybe I'll have a few commentaries because we're looking at some things on the news. The episode is called Stand By Ben, and in this one, Ben leaps into the year 1996, into the life of a boy who is a part of a group of teenagers that were escaping from an abusive academy that their parents all sent them to because each and every one of them are troubled teens in some way, form, or fashion. And Addison, starts to describe each of their different cases. One was cutting himself a lot. The other, even though he did very well in school, he was having these issues. He was very, very antisocial. One girl had some severe anger issues. The boy he leaped into, he was actually very good in school, but had a tendency towards kleptomania. I think he was on the autism spectrum, if that was if memory serves. One of them was with a very, very religious family and was going into severe depression. Well, he found out why, because she's gay and didn't know how to break it to her family. There's a lot of different issues that each and every one of these particular kids had, and they managed to steal one of the trucks and hightail it out of that academy, which found out later on had been highly abusive to them, even going so far as to put them in the box if they misbehaved. And for any of you who don't know what I mean by the box, this was a form of, well, it probably in some places still is, a form of torture in which they stick you outside in the hot sun in a box that basically just where you basically suffer from that heat for hours and hours. In some cases, it could even kill you. This is a pretty bad situation. And so these kids were trying to run away and just make lives for themselves elsewhere because they felt that nobody cared. And this ends up being a situation where, in the beginning of the episode, it looks pretty bleak and hopeless. Their eventual fate, without Ben's intervention, would have been that they had all gone their separate ways and all died of exposure because they had happened to escape on a day at a particular point in time where you had record highs in the hundreds. And I think the thing was in Arizona, if memory serves. They're out in the middle of the desert. So, they just didn't survive. They all died of exposure. So he was trying to keep the group together and maybe try to help them with their problems. And slowly he helps the kids to open up to each other, even though he's not exactly the top one on the totem pole in the group. The one who would be any kind of a leader is the one girl with anger issues, but she does try to help them as much as possible, and the situation grows even bleaker. One of the kids breaks her ankle, actually when she accidentally falls into a snake hole. And also they're having issues just trying to find water. They do eventually find a cabin where they stay the night. It's well stocked with water and food. But then the guys from that academy end up catching up with them, and one of them ends up sacrificing herself to help the other kids escape. But as the story progressed, she does happen to mention that she had an uncle who she was trying to get into contact with, who was the only one who could understand her. She was the one who said that she was gay. She had an uncle who at least understood her, and she was trying to get into contact with him. And somewhere along the way, the kids went back to the school, but managed to bring the uncle with them. They managed to get into contact with him, and he worked for a news organization and basically blew the lid off of that academy and their abusive methods, throwing the guys who were the heads of the place in prison, and changing history for these kids who all basically went on to lead more productive lives and stayed friends up until the present. So it was this episode, I want to say, and I'll get into the B plot in just a moment, but this particular part of the episode I think goes back to the same slight problems that the series had been suffering for a few episodes before the last couple of episodes. And that is being able to balance the A and B plot. This is an episode, and especially considering that this was the mid-season finale, this is an episode that really should have been planned out better and probably made longer and given a to be continued, made it into a two-parter. And they could have been able to build a little bit more tension, a little bit more interest in the characters, and really made this particular episode really hit an emotional chord with the audience. But instead, it felt like it was wrapped up too quickly. I mean, this is a pretty dire situation. Ben being a kid himself among a bunch of other kids that all had these really terrible, complex problems. Now, to its credit, he did get the kids to start being more open with their problems and speaking to each other, and maybe finding solace in each other. So, and becoming closer and realizing it had a circle of people who actually cared now, who they could tell their problems to. But it felt just like it was way too quickly wrapped up. There was just too much going on that really, just like I said, it just wrapped up the whole thing way too quickly. And I think that was a big problem with the episode. Now, the other guy I was telling you about, AJ, had mentioned there were also woke elements in this. Okay, the thing about the girl being gay and not being understood by her parents, I mean, in the 90s, this was sort of a big conversational topic, and there was still a lot of discrimination against people in the LGBT community. And so I guess you would have something like that be an issue, especially back then. And it still is. You got people who are really religious to the point where they ostracize people who are LGBT. And so, it's still a kind of a point even nowadays. So I don't think they were necessarily beating the audience over the head with that. Now, there was one point in the show where they mentioned something about score points for eliminating oppression or something like that. The way that they phrased it really did sound like whoever wrote that was some kind of activist, and I was like, that was highly unnecessary. But that's just me. I got a big issue with that kind of thing goes on nowadays, and I'm not going to go into all that. But other than that, I didn't think it was all that bad. However, like I said, this episode still just felt like they should have given it more time, made the stakes a bit higher. Everything just felt like it was all cut and dried. It had almost a Scooby-Doo kind of ending, where at the kids, off camera managed to get into contact with this girl's uncle, and he drives in, saves the day at the last moment when this girl's being hauled off to the box, and starts putting the cameras in their face and trying to get these guys to, it's like, what are you doing with my niece? What's all this? And so boom, everything is a big kind of happily ever after. I mean, the happily ever after thing's not a big issue. Every episode's the original Quantum Leap most always had kind of a happy ever after kind of thing. Some were kind of bittersweet, but most of the time you had a happy ending. But this, like I said, just felt too rushed, a little too... They didn't give enough detail, didn't give enough pacing time for the story. And I think that a lot of the writers for this show do have a lot on their plate. They're trying to make an A plot and a B plot that work together and still can maintain an emotional punch. But I think that if I could talk to the writers, I would tell them, guys, you need to, you need to have pacing as something that you need to keep in mind at all times for this. And if it feels like you need more time to tell the story, maybe put that one on the shelf or put it on the to be made into a two-parter thing so that you'll have enough time to be able to do it. That way you can put the A and the B plot and still have it work. The last 2 episodes before this one are living proof that they can do this. So, that's just how I feel about it. Now, in regards to the B plot, it does pick up where the last episode left off when you had Janice Calavici suddenly, make her appearance to Sam when he was doing the whole exorcism thing. All the times that episode where you thought you were seeing some weird demon was really just Janice trying to calibrate her version of an imaging chamber to be able to communicate with Ben. And then she was saying, Ben, I have to warn you, but this right before she could finish what she had to say, Ben leaped. But at Project Quantum Leap, they were able to, I guess, triangulate where they had a big, massive power spike that was basically the same amount of power that they need for the imaging chamber at Project Quantum Leap. Now, before I go any further, I do feel the need to say I think this is an issue of maybe not hokey, but someone in the writing team didn't think things through, because in the first episode you get a glimpse of what the imaging chamber looks like, and that thing is about the size of a football field, whereas the imaging chamber that Janice created would only fit in a large storage garage. So an imaging chamber doesn't necessarily have to be big. I mean, after all, you're just like in a particular area and you don't have to move around because the hologram probably moves around with you following you wherever Ben goes. So, I'm just thinking that such a thing I don't think would need as much power as the imaging chamber of Project Quantum Leap. This is something that is built by the government and the military, and they poured God only knows how many millions and millions of dollars into this. And it's something state-of-the-art where this imaging chamber that Janice built was something that she cobbled together in her garage, maybe with Ben's help. In a garage, excuse me. And so I'm like, how and why would they need the exact same amount of power? All that aside, though, to continue the story, Project Quantum Leap finds out that they zero in on that kind of same power spike that their imaging chamber uses, and we're able to find out where Janice's imaging chamber was. Problem: Janice is still hooked into the computers at Project Quantum Leap, hacked into them, so she can see everything they're doing. Meaning, she had access to their security cameras, and both what is that woman's name again? Just a moment. Okay, and both Jen and Magic were talking about what they planned to do. They were going to send some people out there to get her before she had a chance to run away. And so what she did is she managed to hack into the Project Quantum Leap systems and basically trick Ziggy into making an emergency lockdown. So basically, Ian was going nuts trying to figure out trying to, undo it with the rest of the staff, while everyone was basically just kind of sitting where they were. I mean, it locked Jen and Magic up in the elevator, leaving them only to be able to talk about Jen's father. Which, and please excuse the coughing, I'm still getting over that. It wasn't post nasal drip last week. It was actually a full on cold that I was starting to get. I'm starting to get over it now, but I cough a lot. So anyway, it does lead, however, to a bit of character development on Jen's part, where she talked about a father that she had that always seemed to be a leech, and so she was avoiding him when he was trying to call her. But at the end of the episode, it turned out that he just wanted to talk to her, just missed, speaking with her. And so in the end of the day, she ended up going to get dinner with him so that she could, reconnect. And besides, he was starting to get better, it seemed. So Jen just had a lot of resentment. So, point for, developing her character a bit more. So anyway, everybody was just, kind of busy trying to undo what Janice did. And so, of course, we know that was to buy Janice time so she could hightail it out of there. And sure enough, once they resolved the problem, they went to the address, found the whole place had been cleaned out, and she was gone. So we don't know what's going on now, what's happening. However, this does connect to something that was going on with Ben. Ben, at the end of the episode, started getting even more of his memory back. And he reveals one very important thing. He told Addison, said, Addison, I remember why I leaped now and why I did everything prematurely. He said, it was to save you. That's why I went to the accelerator. So he reveals that it was to save her. And this is kind of a really big reveal. And it really made my mind go into a whole bunch of different places. So I'm glad it had a very strong ending with that particular, piece of the puzzle put together. And so, and it left like I said, it made my mind go in a whole bunch of directions. One in which I think that what's probably going to happen in the next part of the series is that Janice is probably going to be put on, they're probably going to find her, and they're probably going to put her on as part of Project Quantum Leap. Because we know that we have time travelers from the future leaping around. We know of some unknown danger that's lurking. We don't know if it has something to do with that guy, that one soldier guy from the future, or if it has to do with what's going to happen to Addison in the future. But maybe Janice knows. And so I think that Project Quantum Leap is now going to be looking for her to find answers. And she'll probably, like I said, be brought on to maybe, put the rest of the puzzle together. So it's going to be interesting when the show comes back from its hiatus to see what's going to happen now. So I'm really, really keenly interested to see what's happening. However, like I said, this episode is kind of a step back to things that really need to be fixed and addressed and fixed. And I think that's part of the reason why people haven't really been gravitating as strongly to the show, at least on NBC. In that, I heard that, Peacock numbers are actually much better than on NBC, but if I'm wrong, hey, feel free to correct me down in the comment section. As a matter of fact, guys, please leave comments, because I'm actually looking, to see what you guys think, how you feel about this. Say something, please. I mean, I'm glad for the likes, and I'm glad for the views, but I really do enjoy comments as well. So, it makes me wonder, what's going to happen next. And like I said, the big problem with the series is still kind of being able to keep both the A and the B plot having the strong emotional connections. Quantum Leap was about Sam doing good throughout history. And Ben is doing this too. So you need to still you have to have every episode, or at least nearly every single episode, hitting those emotional notes that will keep people coming back for more. Because that's what people loved about the original series. Also, I just sincerely hope, and I read an article about this, that Ernie Hudson really wants Scott Bakula to come back and reprise his role, even just for a cameo. Even I don't want him to, be reprising his role forever, for a long time. Just maybe have a cameo once or twice in the series. And that, I think, is going to go a long way towards getting people to come back, to come and watch the show. And I, really kind of am upset that Scott Bakula said he wasn't going to do it. I really wish I knew why. Maybe he just feels that without Dean Stockwell, it's just not gonna feel as genuine. And yes, it is sad that we lost him. I don't know. Like I said before, and as I say in every video, though, it is my hope that more people watch this show. Not only just because I'm tired of doing reviews for shows that never seem to last much longer than one season or 3 at the very most, but also because I think this show is a show that deserves a chance. I'm hoping NBC sees that too, because I don't know if it's going to be picked up for a new season, but a lot of people are thinking that it might be canceled, and I sincerely hope it doesn't. So, once again, guys, get, other people, if you like the show, get other people interested, show them that, help them to see it and enjoy it for, as much as I enjoy it. And as always, as I said before, comment, rate, subscribe. Your feedback and your thoughts on this mean a whole lot to me. And so I think that's about it for today. And so until the show, comes back from its hiatus, this is I'm going to be signing off for now. And hopefully the next time I'm going to be a lot more on the ball about doing this. But thanks once again for watching, everyone. And as always, this is Dad Crash, better known as Brandon. Stay lucky and stay blessed. Take care.